938 Live. This is Talkback.
Now, FIFA, the world governing body's botched corruption report, has been making headlines of late. Will this dampen your enjoyment of the game? What do you think of how FIFA is run, given all the news that it's been in recent months and years? Give us a call, 669-11938.
Now, the FIFA's corruption report published last week stirred up more questions and answers than it was to provide. And the basis for the inquiry was to look into the conduct of all 9 bidding countries that were vying to win the right to stage the world's largest and most lucrative football extravaganza, the World Cup, in 2018 and 2022. Now, the investigation was initiated by FIFA after several allegations of corruption were made after the voting took place in 2010. It also came after the unpopular and uncontested re-election of Sepp Blatter as FIFA's president for the 4th term in mid-2011. American lawyer Michael Garcia, who was appointed FIFA's independent ethics investigator after more than 3 years, had submitted a 430-page report in September. Then, German judge Hans-Joachim Eckhardt, who is part of FIFA's Ethics Committee's adjudication unit, delivered a 42-page summary on Garcia's investigation just last week. But Garcia now says that Judge Eckhardt's report contained numerous materially incomplete and erroneous representations of the facts and conclusions. Garcia, in fact, is now demanding that as much of his investigation as possible should be made public. However, Judge Eckhart insists Garcia's investigation report should be kept confidential. FIFA has responded and has said that Judge Eckhart would deliver a thorough review of the investigation. But now, with Garcia alleging that he's been fundamentally misrepresented, that now casts a different light on the entire investigation, and it puts a serious dent in the credibility of both FIFA and Judge Eckhart's report.
Call us on 669-11938. Tell us if this has affected your perception of what FIFA is all about. How far has it affected your perception of football as a sport generally? Today, we're joined also by Paul Masefield. He's a TV pundit on ESPN Star Sports. He also played professional football in England for a number of years before moving to Asia and playing in local Asian leagues, including our S League. And he also runs a football coaching school for kids. So, Paul, what do you think in terms of what this report does to the credibility of FIFA overall? How bad is the damage?
We don't have enough time because it's... For me, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy how FIFA can be asked to have a report made up like this and then not let the findings be public knowledge. Why do it in the first place? I think that they've shot themselves in the foot. They either do it behind closed doors and keep it all to themselves, but now because of the inconsistencies that have been reported, that it's opened a massive, massive can of worms. And it's going to be really, really problematic for not only for FIFA, not only for Sepp Blatter, but for football going forwards unless they show transparency.
Fact is, you said it has opened a massive can of worms, and this massive can of worms also constitutes worms from the past. There have been several other incidents that have cast some doubt over FIFA's credibility, right? Tell us more about what's been happening over the last few years that would call into question its credibility overall.
Well, you only have to look at Jack Warner. I think that's the one where he was forced to resign because of certain allegations and issues that happened outside of football to do with, obviously taking money. And then FIFA turn around and say, as far as we're concerned, the matter's closed. He's finished his football term. That's wrong. Any kind of corruption, any kind of favours when you hold a position like that, they either need to be reported or they need to be dealt with. And for me, FIFA and the way that they conduct business isn't right at the moment. It's just not right at all. It seems as though that certain people have the power to be able to do exactly what they want, and then when they do the wrong thing, yes, it gets reported eventually, but then all of a sudden it's like it's been shoved under the carpet. You can leave, but nobody says anything else about it.
So what do you think should happen next?
In a normal society doing that, it wouldn't happen. You would be tried and tested, in a court of law if you did right or wrong. And yet FIFA have the ability to do exactly what they want when they want. It's wrong.
So this particular case, if it were up to you to follow up on it, what would you do? What do you think needs to happen to hold them accountable?
Well, the whole paper needs to be made public now. They've absolutely killed themselves by just releasing a 40-page document just with a summary. And that doesn't show transparency at all. That just says, well, what we'll do is we'll pick out the bad bits of certain countries. We'll make it look as though the countries that have won to host the event, that they've been okay. Yet the disparities in between, the good, the bad and the ugly, as it were, are so great that now the only way forwards for FIFA to show that they are an open association is to release the full report. Whistleblowers and all. Get everybody out in the open, get everybody talking about it, and then let's see how rotten FIFA really is, and if it does run all the way up to the top.
Do you think that is actually going to happen, Paul?
What do you think?
Obviously, we have our doubts, Paul.
I can't for 1 minute think that that's actually going to happen. Purely and simply, I think that FIFA feel that they're a law unto themselves. I think that they feel that they can do what they want when they want. And, I mean, let's not forget the vast amounts of, let's be honest, monies that are involved in control of FIFA. It's the biggest association globally. It earns more than some small countries throughout the whole of the world. The sway and the pull is that politically great. It's untrue. You only have to look at where they're going to host the 18 and the 22 World Cup. I mean, Blatter gets off a plane and is treated better than some royalty, better than dignitaries from different countries.
Okay, so bearing this in mind, and that you've said several times that it looks as if FIFA is a power unto itself, who can really rein FIFA in?
I'll tell you what should happen, and it was mentioned by one of the people from Germany. It was mentioned by one of the German Football Association people, and it was that UEFA
might pull out completely from FIFA.
Right, that's what needs to happen. But you take the risk of alienating yourself. That's the first thing, because Blatter knows how to play politics, and he's very, very good at it. And to be fair, what he's done is he has developed football in certain nations throughout the world and helped the infrastructure in certain countries. So you can't knock what he's done on that front. But it's, again, cloak and dagger. It's all behind closed doors. It's, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. If UEFA were to pull out of FIFA, that would mean then that the strongest sub-body throughout the whole of the world would actually set up themselves, because they are stronger and better than FIFA to an extent, because of the power that they have there in Europe and European football on a domestic level. FIFA is obviously the main international board, and yes, UEFA does report to them, but UEFA are a lot more concentrated on the club level football within Europe.
Stay with us on 938 Live. We're also taking your calls on 669-11938. Andy joins us now. Hi, Andy. What do you think of this whole state of affairs?
Good morning. Well, FIFA has always been like that, because they are different from IOC. They report to nobody. FIFA is managed or manipulated by just a few persons, and they can get away with anything. But the issue is that they are the most popular sport body, no competition in the world, and the football is the most popular sport. So what can the other members do? AFC has walked off during the 2002 Olympic Games because they find it unfair that Korea and Japan co-host, and yet we only got the 4.5 spot slot for the competition.
Well, Andy, Paul has suggested that UEFA carry through its threats to leave FIFA, and that might have an impact. What do you think?
Okay, first thing, UEFA going to get rid of Michel Platini, because he, based on a press report, because he arranges for his son to work for a Qatari company. So among the UEFA itself, you cannot get unanimous. So how can you just walk up and form your own body? Okay.
Are you a football fan, Andy?
Very much, and I follow very much. And one thing, personal opinion, is that Blatter is anti-English. As long as he's in office, he's the president, England will never got a chance to host the World Cup. And that's the truth. That's a fact.
Okay, Andy, let me ask you this. All of this, has it dampened your interest in the game somewhat?
I think I'm dampened the interest of my game for Sintel overbidding football and FIFA scandal, because that's international. There's not much to do with us. We enjoy the game. I mean, they can fight among themselves within Europe, within Europe. They like to fight, they're going to fight. But to me, is that they dampen my interest is only because we bid a high price. Sorry, I'm distracting for another subject.
Okay, no, but we understand there have been several issues over the years that have indeed affected fans personally as well. Stay with us on 938 Live. We're talking all about the recent FIFA botched corruption report. What do you think of what is going on here? We're also joined by Paul Masefield. He's a TV pundit on ESPN Star Sports, and he's also played professional football himself. Now, Paul, it appears that several people have already acknowledged that it seems that, well, Sepp Blatter has all the power in the world. No one can rein FIFA in as a result of that. How can this be allowed to happen? I mean, shouldn't there be some sort of corporate governance standards that all these organizations are held up to?
There should be, yeah, there should be. But one thing, I mean, he made some very good points there, but the one thing is that the IOC is totally different to FIFA. FIFA just governs the football, whereas the IOC is basically the rest of the sports throughout the world.
Right.
So there's no one to answer to there. And would you say the same about the IOC president? He has the same amount of power, but he was right in what he was saying, that football is the people's games. So it's very, very difficult it's very difficult to govern. But like I said, it's all about politics, and it's how you play that political game. And Sepp Blatter, like, love him, loathe him, whatever you want, he knows how to play the game with people, which is why he gets elected unopposed, which is why people support him. Because I did mention that he has done some good throughout the world, particularly developing nations, in investing in the infrastructure there. But again, it has to be transparent. FIFA is not transparent. Who do they have to, open up to? That's what the people of the world need to ask, and they need to ask that question big and loud now, where FIFA should open their doors so that everybody knows what goes on.
But will that question be answered is the question. Call us on 669-11938. We'll talk to you right after news and sports. Stay with us. Also joining us today is Paul Masefield, a TV pundit on ESPN Star Sports. He's also played professional football for a number of years. He's giving us his take on FIFA's botched corruption report and where that leaves FIFA. Where does that leave football fans as well? What do you think of FIFA's botched corruption report? To what extent has it dampened, or do you expect it to dampen your enjoyment of the game? Joining us now is Paul Masefield. He is a TV pundit on Fox Star Sports. He's also played professional football in England for a number of years, also played in Asia, and he also runs a football coaching school. So eminently qualified to talk about this. What about you? Do you have any thoughts on whether football's world governing body at this point really promotes universal well-being of the game it represents? What about the people dedicated to playing the game? What about you, fans of the game? Call us 669-11938. Now, Paul, earlier you mentioned that certainly a greater level of accountability is needed at this point, but if that is not elicited after such an incident, what moral standing do you think FIFA will have to exercise its role as the world's governing body for football in the eyes of the players, the fans, and of course governments around the world?
Well, I think everybody knows what goes on, but you have to just get on with life. That's the hard thing and the harsh reality. Football, as mentioned earlier, is the world number one sport, so people will go on and play. It still needs to be governed by local county associations, then regional, then national associations, then obviously fall under the banner of a confederation before FIFA come into play as well. So football will go on. It's just everyone will be curious, and they'll have that little question in the back of their mind. Did they, didn't they? Was it done this way? Was it the correct way? And people will always question it until transparency is there.
But it sounds as if all that questioning is really going to amount to nothing if ultimately we just move on.
Well, 100%, because we've said before, because of the strength and the power that FIFA has, and they don't have to answer to anybody, who do you answer to? No one. There's no one there for them to actually give reports. I must be honest, I read a fantastic report yesterday in the Mail on Sunday from the UK, which talks, there's a couple of whistleblowers that have come out and given their accounts of what's actually happened. And I tell you, once you start to read into this, and once you start to dig a little bit deeper, and you do your research on this, it's absolutely amazing how FIFA have got away with this for such a long time. Literally since football began, they have been a law unto themselves. And it's not just this bidding process here for the 1822 World Cup. This is going back years and years and years of basically people fail in the system because they don't have to answer to anybody.
But then, I mean, this is really laughable. I mean, because there is somebody that they need to answer to, isn't it? I mean, Paul,
at this point, there is nobody.
But there's, I mean, accountability then that means is absolutely zero. Although, of course, Blatter has very, very confidently said that football's world governing body must remain immune from government influence. So,
well, that I agree with, because football, you can't have external forces there, but there should be a power, or there should be a committee, or there should be something that sits that can govern them as a whole, if you understand. I mean, I know it's cross words, but FIFA have the right and the power to be able to stop. They want free democratic elections of presidents within each of the nations that is a supporter of FIFA. That we all understand. That's not an unreasonable request. But when he gets in unopposed, how many times, when things like that happen, and he knows that he doesn't have to answer to anyone, things are not going to be right. I mean,
let's talk about possible solutions. I mean, is there any way that the IOC could step in?
No,
like, who do you think should police FIFA if there were candidates out there, existing ones, or even set up a new body?
There has to be a new body for me, and again, who do you put in? I wouldn't have a clue. I mean, I'm not that high up the chain that you would think who could make those sort of decisions and who could police.
No, but in terms of your sense of what would satisfy people in terms of accountability.
The whole thing has to be transparent from start to finish. You need to be able to open the minutes of meetings that they have. You need to be able to understand the bidding process. Why is it only the Exco committee members that get the opportunity to vote on where the World Cup goes? Everyone should have a say in that. If people saw that FIFA were at least trying to be transparent and allowing people to see inside what happens at FIFA, it wouldn't need to be policed as harshly as it is now, because nobody knows what goes on. If something happens, well, if FIFA said it happened, it happened. If FIFA said it didn't happen, believe me, there's nothing on the record that says it happened. It didn't happen. So as long as the path can be open for people to see, that's the best way to go.
You mentioned earlier that the president of the German Football League, of course, has warned that UEFA's 54 member nations could take the step of quitting FIFA. And you said that this could be an effective way of putting pressure on FIFA. Do you think others might consider going down that road as well, the UEFA's road?
I think a lot of people would then start to point fingers. But again, what you've got to do and what you've got to realise is that Blatter has a lot of friends in a lot of powerful countries throughout the whole world as well. Would the AFC do that? Would the OFC do that? Would CONCACAF do that? Because of the leagues that are dotted all around the world, if they can keep 4 of the 5 confederations together, then would it be worth Europe doing that? Yes, it would, because of the power that they have domestically, and I think we mentioned that as well, and the strength of the European Championships when they come along. It would raise a few questions and a few eyebrows, but it needs a lot of people to come forwards. But people are afraid to come forwards. Honestly, go and read this Mail on Sunday article, and you'll see that it's not just about saying and doing the right thing. It's a powerful, powerful organisation that can manipulate people as well. That's what FIFA is.
Give us an example of something that really stood out for you from there.
Just something I read there, that one of the girls came out, but one of the whistleblowers, and has had to sign a retraction, otherwise she was going to be sued by one of the countries that was bidding for one of the World Cups. And whether or not she was right in what she was saying, it's obviously what she said, what she believed, what she saw. But if she didn't sign this, she said that the people that were supposed to protect her and promised to protect her went behind her back and went after her, all guns blazing. So again, FIFA, you have to be careful what you say because of the body that it is, and you have to be 100% sure. Now, these ladies that have come out to expose certain flaws in the system, they're now being punished by FIFA for this. That's the thing. You speak out, you lose. But if you don't speak out, how can the rest of the world see exactly what's going on?
And certainly there needs to be more protection for whistleblowers.
I think that if they're being honest, they should be fine, as long as they're saying the truth. Then, they've got no reason to hide, nothing to hide from. Then if they're being honest about what happened, that's life.
Let's see what Vic has to say about this. Vic joins us now on 669-11938. Hi, Vic. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Good morning. I have a question to Mr. Mansfield. Why did Michel Platini decline to stand for the election? Could it be because of the current turmoil in FIFA?
What do you think, Paul?
I don't know whether a pact was made. We were led to believe a few years ago Platini was going to stand in the last one, but elected at the last minute to stand down and not stand at all. And again, I just wonder if Blatter is so powerful globally, and like mentioned, he has allies in each country. Now, when it comes to the vote for the FIFA presidency, that isn't just your EXCO committee. That is every single nation throughout the world. And with all the good work that he has done, Blatter, throughout the whole of the world at grassroots level and certain areas and certain things that he's done for certain countries, Blatter will get in 99.9 times out of 100 purely and simply on that vote.
Thank you very much for that, Paul. Paul Masefield is a TV pundit on Fox Star Sports. A lot being said about this, but are there any solutions on the horizon?
Looks like there are none. Well,
too much power in one person's hands?
Yeah.
Really? Something's got to happen. Something has to change. Talk to us on Official 938 Live, our Facebook page, if you want to suggest some solutions for perhaps better corporate governance. Actually, I do understand. Paul, are you still there?
Yep.
I do understand that a package of reforms designed to restore trust and introduce some corporate governance rules to FIFA has been announced. Do you think anything's going to come out of that?
It has to. It has to, because they have to win the trust back of the people. They have to win the trust back of the players, as you mentioned, as the fans, which is the most important thing. Because if the fans just turn their backs on the game, football's nothing. So changes have to be on the horizon. If not, it could really, really kill football.
Thank you very much for that. And let's see if fans do take that step.